Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get the Budget and Finance Committee meeting started. Before we get started with any business today, I am going to yield the floor to Councilman Stein for a quick announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the day. We have with us today members of the council. For those that have not met him, the new Director of Libraries, Mr. Ken Oliver, is with us, and if the chair would allow and no one objects, it might be a great opportunity for him to come to the podium and introduce himself.
Certainly.
Greetings, council members. I am Ken Oliver. I'm your new library director, and all I can say is it's a pleasure to be here. We have a fabulous library system here in Nashville, and frankly, one of the things I'm finding out every day is that we have some incredible support in the community, and I know a lot of that support comes from those of you that are in this room today, not only currently, but having built it over the years and the fabulous facility that we have. But I look forward to getting to know all of you and working with you to make sure that we continue to have a great library system. So I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mr. Oliver, and we look forward to working with you to make sure Nashville's libraries are the best libraries in the country. Let's go ahead and jump into the agenda. The first item we have on the agenda is RS 2012-331, sponsored by McGuire, Evans. Authorizes the Director of Public Property Administration to exercise an option to purchase property located at 3400 Hobbs Road near Julia Green Elementary School for the benefit of the Board of Education. And I'd like to, it's been properly moved. We have a second? Have a second. I'd like to open up the floor for discussion. Council Lady Evans.
Thank you, Councilman. I guess I just want to make a few comments, and then we have from schools, Chris Henson is here, right? Okay. And we can answer any questions. I think Councilman Tiger might have some. There is a meeting on July the 26th at Julia Green to talk about this land acquisition that's the subject of the resolution. We had a really good, positive discussion. About 100 people, 125 people showed up. And it was a good thing. I'm glad we did it. We talked a lot about the population growth in Hillsborough, the population growth at Julia Green, and what the options are. There was a lot of discussion about alternatives to just expanding Julia Green. So while the acquisition is, I think, very much supported by the council and the community, what the community probably can't tolerate and won't tolerate is any more physical expansion of the design capacity of the room. But I wanted to ask MMPS, we've had some real difficulty with the traffic over there this week, and I'm wondering if we could comment a little bit on how we're dealing with those traffic issues and how this might help us, this land acquisition. I think the backup was to the YMCA last Wednesday on the first day.
Let me introduce you to Ken Murdoch. Mr. Murdoch is our Director of Facility Planning and Construction and was a part of the presentation at the meeting on July 26th at Julia Green. He can explain how this land acquisition can help with the traffic and queuing of vehicles there on Hobbs Lane.
Thank you. When we look at adding these two parcels of land, we're able to do several things. One, we are able to extend the length of the pickup line or the queue line for parents dropping off kids or picking up kids. We're also able to add additional parking, and we're able to add parking at the back of the facility also. All of these will get more traffic off of Hobbs Road. The other thing we've looked at and worked with Public Works is the school zone flashing light that's on Hobbs Road as you're westbound. That has been reviewed and is going to be backed up by 150 feet, which will just give more warning as you're coming over the hill westbound that the school is ahead and will allow cars to slow down. So the property adds other features as far as green space, but those are the enhancements as far as the traffic and the pickup line at the school.
Okay. Counselor A, does that answer all of your questions?
Yes, that does answer my questions. How many more cars do you think you can queue up and get off of Hobbs?
We have 20 more in the queue.
Okay. You know it was backed up to the Y on Wednesday, right?
I heard you say that as we walked up here, yes.
It was pretty bad today, too, apparently. So how soon will we start work on on extending the drive lanes and so forth, once the land's acquired?
Well, we'd have to have both parcels, but immediately after we receive both, then we could start the construction.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or discussion from council members? Hearing none, I'd like to call for the question. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? There you have it. All right, the next item is RS 2012-359. It's sponsored by Matthews and McGuire, and it approves a grant of $51,000 from Dollar General Literacy Foundation to the Metropolitan Government to provide partial funding of a position in the Mayor's Office of Children and Youth. All right, it's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right. Next item, RS 2012-360. It approves an application for the continuation of a grant of $54,400 from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Metro Fire Department to provide training for arson investigators. All right, it's been properly moved and second. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, next item, RS 2012-361, approves an amendment to a federal grant agreement between the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management for maritime infrastructure enhancement regarding threats of terrorism by extending the grant through May 31st of 2013. It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? I apologize. All those in favor? All those opposed? Next item, RS 2012-362, approves a second amendment to a grant of $840,333 from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Metro Fire Department for equipment to enhance the safety of firefighting personnel by extending the grant through September 30th, 2012. Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Next item, RS 2012-363, approves a grant of $200,000 from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to the Metro Board of Health for implementation of a nitrogen dioxide monitoring station. It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Next item, bill passes. RS 2012-364 approves a contract between the Metro Board of Health and Mars Pet Care US Incorporated to provide food for dogs at the Metro Animal Control Facility and to promote adoption efforts. It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Bill passes. Next item, RS 2012-365 approves an amendment to a state grant of $606,400 to the Metro Board of Health to provide tender care outreach services for enrolled children. Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Bill passes. Next item, RS 2012-366 modifies the existing master list of architectural and engineer firms to add 11 firms. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Bill passes. Next item, RS 2012-367, approves an annual cooperative agreement between the Department of Water and Sewer Services and the U.S. Department of Interior Geological Survey for the continuation of a program of water resources investigation. It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Bill passes. Next item, RS 2012-368, accept certain incomplete infrastructure and property interests located within Section 2 of the Woodland Forest subdivision in Bellevue. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Bill passes. Next item, RS 2012-369, appropriate $77,000 from the general fund, reserve fund to the billboard to purchase document scanning equipment and for the build-out of their new offices. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Bill passes. Next item, RS 2012-370, authorizes the Department of Law to settle the lawsuit brought by the Administrator of the Estate of Roy Glenn Hall Jr. against the Metropolitan Government and 4 Davidson County Sheriff's Office correctional officers for the amount of $10,000. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Maynard.
Thank you. I saw in Mr. Cooper's analysis the disciplinary measures that was taken by the officer. It says that 3 of them received no disciplinary measures taken against them, 1 did, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so are we, from this lawsuit, the complaint is that even though they sued all 4, 1 was reckless or disregard of, can you get his?
My understanding is that only one of the employees violated a sheriff's office departmental procedure by not making the required number of bed checks or cell checks on the shift. And that's the one that was disciplined.
Okay, so then it wasn't the culpability that they didn't take his illness serious enough. Either 4 did not take his illness serious. It's just that 1 violated policy.
That was the reason for the disciplinary action, correct?
Okay, because it seemed pretty light, the fact that someone died, that only disciplinary measure was taken was what was given by the sheriff's office.
Yeah, that would be up to the sheriff's office. I don't know if anybody's here or not.
Is anybody here?
Okay, yes. Ms. Tate is here.
Could you come to the podium, please? It's on.
Oh, my question is that the Department of Law has asked us to approve a settlement, and they basically stated that the chances of us being held liable in trial are pretty good to where we should settle the case. And given the fact that the person died, I'm wondering if this person was, if the employee rather was found in violation of policy, why was the disciplinary measure so light?
The employee was, I'm Constance Tate, I'm administrative counsel with the sheriff's office. The employee who was disciplined because he only made about 8 cell checks instead of the 14 that he should have made, and that's a violation of policy, but that was not related to Mr. Glenn's death. This is by far a medical case. And the bulk of the settlement is to be paid by the medical contractor that contracts with the health department for inmate health care.
So the sheriff's investigation found that the 4 officers had no causation or culpability in the death of this particular inmate?
Correct.
And is that your position? Councilman.
I think that the settlement reflects that the bulk of the liability would go with the medical provider. However, there is, under Tennessee law, there is a chance, I'll be honest with you, it's not like, it's not the greatest chance in the world, but a jury could find that we have a responsibility above and beyond what the medical provider is saying, because certainly the sheriff's employees were aware this guy was seriously ill and kind of felt a little funky that we weren't doing more. And that actually could transfer into liability. Now, $10,000 out of $70,000 is not a lot of liability, but we felt there was enough there that we should go ahead and settle the case. That's really that's what the nature of the settlement was. Should we have done more, even though the medical provider was clearly greater at fault here?
And in this case, the sheriff's office staff did repeatedly take him to the clinic for medical attention. It was just that during witness interviews, one staff member expressed frustration with the medical care provider and their performance. And because she expressed that frustration, there is some chance that there could be liability because the sheriff's office failed to override the medical care provider.
Okay, the inmate is in the care of the sheriff's department, in the care of us, of Metro government. I understand that. And so therefore, we owe a duty to that inmate and to be at a certain level of standard of care. Of course, I'm not a practicing lawyer, but I'm just wondering, how can there be a settlement for us and yet the employees from your investigation are not found culpable? Because if there is some link between the officer's actions and the death of this inmate, it seems to me that the disciplinary measure, when I read Mr. Cooper's analysis, I couldn't believe how light it was.
Well, I don't think that there's any proof that's been presented that there is a link between the actions of the employees and the death of the inmate. The question was whether, if one employee disagreed with the nurse or doctor on duty about what should be done, did that employee, who was a sergeant, have a duty to override the medical care provider?
Okay.
Thank you. Any other discussion from council members? If none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Bill passes. Next item, RS 2012-371, authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the claims of Donna Haskins and Daniel Haskins against the Metropolitan Government for the amount of $22,000. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Bill passes. Bill on second reading, BL 2012-210, sponsors McGuire, Duvall, and Hunt, approves a lease agreement between Metro Government and the Tennessee Highway Patrol to permit the construction of a state communications tower in the Cane Ridge community. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Bill passes, and we have one late filed resolution. Do we have to? There's no objection in committee, is it?
No.
Okay. All right. Late file resolution, sponsor is Gilmore, approves a state grant in the amount of $123,711 to Metro Water Services for an HVAC project at the Omohundro Water Treatment Plant. And I do not have a letter from Council. Is there? Okay.
Describing the nature of the emergency, yes.
Okay. So there is a letter from Council Lady Gilmore to ask for approval. Not in committee. You don't have to. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Cooper, could you explain the nature of the reason to?
Yes, it has to do with the timing of the
I'm sorry.
contract.
I'm sorry.
It has to do with the timing of the grant contract and when we receive the grant contract from the state. It has to be signed and sent back to them by August 10th or we lose the money. So therefore it needs to be approved at this meeting.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Bill passes. That concludes our meeting. Thank you.